Good morning, everyone. Let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Much better, much better. I'm incredibly excited to welcome you all here to the Press Lounge at Inc. 48 Hotel on this extremely beautiful day in New York City. We lucked out, right? Who was here on Saturday when it was negative 14 wind chill? Today is something very, very special to us here at Nosto. We've been thinking about this and talking about this and working very hard for a very long time. So we appreciate each and every one of you for taking time out of your day today to join us here for this special announcement and our panel discussion as well. I'd also like to take a moment to extend a warm welcome to those of you who are joining in on our live stream today. Welcome and hello from wherever you are watching across the globe. My name is Laura Ann, and I'm the Director of Education here at Nosto. And for better or for worse, I will be your moderator for today's event. We have some great people in attendance here today, some of our favorite customers, valued partners, old friends, Brad, new friends, other technology and platform vendors, which only underscores how important events like today are not only for big announcements, but an opportunity for all of us to get together from across the e-commerce ecosystem and celebrate in one another's successes, as well as talk about what the future holds for our industry. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing today, talking about the shape of product discovery in 2023 based on some new and exciting research that we will reveal to you today, as well as unveil our new technology that we know will help us help merchants win like never before. So here's what's in store for us for the next hour or so. First, we will hear from our CEO, Jim Lofgren, who will talk all about our new technology. From there, we will have a panel discussion with some of the brands here on stage and some of my colleagues. And finally, we will hear from them and have them talk about their experience with this new technology and some of the exciting results that they have seen thus far. So before we dive in, I would ask a favor of all of you. In true Nosto fashion, we've had so many people travel near and far. And when I mean far, like from Lithuania, far. So as we move through our panel discussion and invite people to speak here on the stage, I really want to hear you make some noise. Again, this is how we do it here at Nosto. So how about a little practice round? All right, one more time for good measure, because I know a lot of you in the room and I know you're louder than you just were. So one more time, let me hear. All right, much better. Thank you. So without further ado, let's welcome our CEO, Jim, to the stage. Jim?
Thank you, everyone. It's a really exciting day for all of us here at Nosto. And I think we're going to start today by revealing, and for some of you who've been with us and followed us for the last 18 months, you might have an idea what it is we're unveiling here today. For some of you others, this might be completely new. But we're going to kick us off with a short video. Why don't we roll tape?
Introducing Search, the latest product in Nosto's experience platform for online retailers. Powerful, personalized, and set to take your product discovery next level. Let's think about this for a moment. 69% of all online shoppers go straight to the search bar when they land on your website. But 80% of shoppers have exited an online store due to poor performing search. That's why your site search must be smart. It should know what your shoppers want, even before they do. Fast. It should help your shoppers find exactly what they want, the second they want it. Intuitive. It should display desired results for every single search, even with human error. Relevant. It should provide the most relevant search experience for every single query, for a discovery experience that's accurate and focused. Personalized. It should tailor results to different shoppers in line with the rest of their on-site experience for a 360-degree personalization. Helpful. It should serve content directly in the search results, content that helps inspire, inform, and build trust. Beautiful. It should fit seamlessly into your store's aesthetic and promise responsive experiences across device types. That's why we've developed a search solution that promises all this and more. Built on intelligent AI and machine learning to predict true shopper intent, serving the most relevant products and algorithmically improving performance and efficiencies. Closing data silos by incorporating your search data into a wider experience platform, unlocking value across all modules to enrich your personalization strategy. Giving you complete control to deliver fully merchandised search results, highlighting the things you want shoppers to see and act upon. Promising easy implementation so you can boost time to value, supercharging the metrics that matter to you. This is product discovery redefined.
So we're immensely proud to unveil and officially launch the Nosto search today. We've been working on this for the last 18 months, and it's been a huge team effort to get this to where it is right now. Our vision when we launched and started Nosto was making every impression relevant. It's something we repeat over and over at Nosto. What this means for us is building a complete system, a platform that can modify and build experiences all across a digital property. You're on a website, you're on a store, you're at a brand, you have an experience that's digital and native. We want to make sure that every element, every part of that experience is made completely relevant and authentic to you, the user, the shopper, and the visitor. That's why when we launched initially with product recommendations, and over the last few years, we've added bundles, meaning you can shop the look of something. We've added segmentation, so at any point you can, in real time, segment an audience and create an experience for them. We've created a real-time sorting order, so you can re-rank products in your category trees. We have UGC that's pulling out user-generated images from everywhere, and you can use that on your site and be fully personalized. But we felt that there was one missing piece to this complete experience, and it was search. To really deliver on our vision of having one single platform that informs everything that a user does on a website, we needed search to complete that platform. And that's why we're so proud to launch it today. Search, and many of you here are with an agency or a brand, and you operate your store on a day-to-day basis. You probably realize the challenges of search. Search, in most cases, is siloed. It uses the data that you input in the search bar, and you can manually optimize it. In 9 out of 10 cases, this is how you as a merchandiser, you operate, or a site merchandiser, you operate your search today. This is how historically it was built in the different waves of new next generation search. Even though there was an addition of some machine learning during these different phases, it's always been relatively manual, very difficult to implement, and highly siloed. It does mean that it doesn't inform what happens everywhere else on the website. And what you do as a user or shopper doesn't inform how you should display something to make it relevant when you do your search. Now, with the 2 acquisitions we've made over the last 18 months, and the very disciplined decision to build a platform that has search natively at its core, using the same behavioral intelligence, behavioral data, the machine learning, the visual AI, and the contextual data, we can now deliver through that one platform something that informs and enables everyone to build experiences that informs the entire shopping journey. That's why we're so excited to be here today. If you are now an e-commerce merchant or retailer or brand, what you now can do and deliver is unique, powerful, intelligent experiences. If you're an agency, you can start building a whole new set of impressions for end users and consumers in partnership with strategies together with your merchant. What we're going to do here today is we're going to dive deeper into what this means with 2 very tangible use cases and our distinguished panel with research and product expertise. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Laura Ann.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. Wonderful. So let's give another warm welcome to our panelists up here today. And before we dive into our discussion, let's take the opportunity to get to know them a little bit better. So Lexis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Lexis Cambor. I am the site manager for PerryEllis.com. That is one of 6 direct-to-consumer websites that Perry Ellis International manages. I've been with the company for about 2 years now, so not very long, but I've had the pleasure of working with Nosto for those 2 years, and so have all the other sites as well. We use Nosto for product recommendations. We use it for category merchandising. We use it for dynamic email content. There's a lot of use cases for Nosto. So it's been really good.
Awesome. Thanks, Lexis. And Hillary?
Hi, I'm Hillary Peterson. I head up Ecom and Digital at ALC. I've been there about 4 years. And we started working with Nosto, I want to say about a year and a half ago, and use them across site content, email, merchandising, and now search.
Wonderful. Thanks, Hillary. And thank you both again for making your way from California and Florida to join us today. Antonis?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Antanas. I'm head of search product here at Nosto and former CEO of SearchNode. 10 years in e-commerce search space and still very exciting, even more exciting than I was ever.
And lastly, Guy?
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Guy and I head up brand marketing here at Nosto. And I'm excited to talk to you about some research that we are exclusively revealing today for you all.
Awesome. Thank you again, everyone. All right. So with that said, Guy, let's go ahead and dive a little bit into the research to set the scene for today's conversation.
Sure. Thanks, Laura Ann. Firstly, everyone should have something that looks a little bit like this on your seat or around your person. This has a QR code on it, and I would urge you all to scan this QR code. This will take you straight to the research paper that we are exclusively releasing today. You get to see it first before anyone else. This doesn't go public until next week. So take this home, scan the QR code, get our research. But ultimately, what we wanted to do with this research is we wanted to find, the gaps in expectation between shoppers, what brands think they're delivering via site search and what brands are actually delivering via site search. And we did this across 3 studies. So we tested 100 brand websites and really stress tested their e-commerce site search. We then surveyed 2,000 consumers across North America and the UK to ask them what they think about site search. And then we surveyed over 200 e-commerce professionals to get their take on what they think they're delivering with site search. And we've uncovered major expectation gaps in this research and really clear learnings for brands to take away. And namely, that big takeaway is relevancy.
Okay, great. So, Guy, I've actually had a sneak peek at the research myself, and it is quite lengthy, but there's lots of good information. So, what would you say are some of the key elements or interesting finds that you discovered through our research process?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is if you think your search is not a problem, you're wrong. Search is a problem, right? We saw it in the video just now. 69% of all your shoppers are going straight to that search bar. But the big problem is 80% of them are leaving because you're not delivering the experience that they want. You're not delivering a relevant experience. Your search results are not relevant. And that's leaving huge amounts of cash on the table for merchants. Product discovery ultimately now starts and will end with that search bar on your site.
Okay, great. So we all would not be sitting here in the room today and now knowing this research, but I would say, like, what do we think is the key to like fixing this problem, right, and improving on-site site search? I would love to hear from you, Lexus, if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it really starts with relevancy. We know that the customers that are going to the search bar, they're in the market for something specific. So they're already doing half the work. And I think it's really important just to make sure that we help them find what they're really looking for. So that seems to be the most important element to a search experience, is just making sure that you have a high level of relevancy. With that said, I don't think it's just relevancy anymore. I think there's a lot of information that customers are leaving out when they go to the search bar. So they're leaving out their size, their color preference. There's a lot of things that are left on the table that we have to sort of mind read to get around that. So I'd say really the most important elements are relevancy combined with personalization. That seems to be the key to having a really stellar site search experience. And so with that, if you have like the right segments and you're paying attention to the customer behavior, you can really fine tune that experience and really show them what they're actually looking for rather than what they just put in the search bar.
Yeah, I think you bring up a lot of good points there. I know for me personally, when I'm shopping on a site, like I do exactly what you just said, right? Um, Hillary, do you have anything to add to that? What have you seen on your side?
Just more of the same, effectively. It's like relevancy through personalization, right? I mean, you see this with Google, right? They help change the algorithm depending on who's searching to find the most relevant things for you to look for. Why would we operate differently on the site? And it's hugely impactful, especially for us, to have something that we can use as part of our toolkit that is now kind of dynamic and 3D as a tool, if you will, versus 1D, which is what search has been for us. It's been a set it and forget it. So now being able to treat it as something that we can kind of roll into our strategic toolkit has been very helpful as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you both. So, Guy, kind of piggybacking off of that there. So, we've heard from the merchant side of things. Is the research telling us the same? Is it telling us something different? You know, what is the key to help improving search?
Yeah, relevance is a really interesting point, isn't it? Because we asked brands this very question, and 99% of brands said, yeah, my site search results, they're completely relevant. That's 99% of brands think that they're serving completely relevant results. Shoppers don't agree. 69% of shoppers said that is not the case. So what we have is this huge expectation gap forming between shoppers and between brands. But I think you're absolutely right, Alexis. The key to unlocking this is by combining relevancy with personalization, taking all of that siloed search data, that once siloed search data from there, using it to inform the entire on-site experience, and vice versa, taking every other interaction on your site, using all of that data and then feeding that back into your search results so that you can have fully personalized search results. And that is where merchants can change the game, because if they're able to do that and succeed at that, 70% of shoppers are much more likely to purchase if they have relevant search results that are personalized to them.
For sure. So I think one general theme here is that there's this big gap between what merchants are thinking and what the shoppers are actually experiencing when they're searching on site. Lexus, in your experience, and obviously, when looking at search tools or even when using Nosto's search tool, I mean, do you see that kind of gap in expectations versus like the shopper's reality? Is it in your experience or your team's experience?
Definitely, especially if you don't have personalization in your tool. I think there's definitely a gap, just because search terms mean different things to all people. An example for this for Perry Ellis would be jacket. That's a very frequently searched term, but it also means a lot of different things. So if you were here in the Northeast, this past weekend, you were probably looking for an overcoat or some sort of outerwear jacket. But if you think of Perry Ellis as a suit brand, you're probably looking for a suit jacket. And so those two different experiences, they could be wildly different, and they could be completely irrelevant to the opposite customer that's looking for something completely different. So if there's no personalization element, we have no way of sort of rating how our relevancy is and how it's working for specific customers. And there's a lot of money being left on the table.
For sure. I mean, one thing just pops out in my mind, a jacket to me in California is very different than a jacket in other climates of the country.
This winter.
55 degrees is winter in Southern California. So Hillary, how about for you? Any experiences? I mean, do you see that gap? How do you address it?
Yeah, I mean, similar. We're women's fashion, primarily a dress brand. We know what first-time customers buy. We know what repeat purchasers buy. Previously, again, having this kind of 1D search where it's a lot of work, and also very truthfully, which I'm sure a lot of brands can feel out here, our teams aren't super robust. We're lean, we're nimble. So to have somebody manage any kind of personalization generally, if you will, around like what people are searching, it takes a lot of work and the team doesn't have time. So now I'm able to say, okay, like someone's searching for dresses, always a top search term, but that's going to mean something different to our first time customers. It's going to mean something different to our sale customer. It's going to be something different to our returning customer. Also by season, it's going to mean something different. What we know is happening like in press or media or other elements are going to factor in. So again, it becomes something that we can really use as a tool, which is exciting. And we can talk about it later, but the sale, we did a test that was really effective around leveraging this during sale versus non-sale period. And just, well, I guess I'm talking about it. So we saw a huge increase. Our conversion rate for search went up over 1.2 basis points, which is huge. And then the click-through rate went up 7 basis points. Again, so huge, just being able to tailor it during a specific period to what we wanted to help people find. And yeah.
That's amazing.
To your point, that was real money on the table, a lot of real money on the table.
You were so excited, you couldn't wait. Guy, do you have anything to kind of add to their experiences? Again, like going back to the research, what are we seeing there?
Well, a lot of different pain points coming out there, I think, preventing merchants from fully executing, relevancy and personalization on their site through their search. But we asked brands that question as well, unsurprisingly. And 95% of all brands are suffering major pain points with their search solution. And you can read all 10 of those pain points that they cited in the research. But the top 3, firstly, it was unstructured data. So if you have bad data, that's the first barrier to achieving relevancy and personalization. Secondly, the biggest pain point that they're facing with current search solutions is their inability to merchandise their search results. And then the third major pain point is complexity of implementation and time to value.
Okay, great. Thank you guys again. So Antonis, I'm going to turn it over to you now because all of us know here in the room that on-site search isn't anything new and that there are a lot of search providers out there. So why hasn't any of these pain points been addressed over time? It would be good to hear your opinion since this is your area of expertise.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I was thinking a lot about in the last, 5 years or something. When I think about it, I look back. Search function in e-commerce has been there since 90s when e-commerce started. And there was a first generation of e-commerce search engines. You might remember some names like Endeca, which was actually acquired by Oracle for $1 billion back in late 90s. SLI Systems and a few other companies who've been actually running search, and it was a first generation when I look at. About 10 years ago, I call it second generation of e-commerce search providers started with some names that you might be familiar even today, like Algolia, SearchSpring, including SearchNote that I founded back in 2013. And we were so, let's say, passionate about making search available to any merchant, not just huge enterprise clients who can pay millions for that. Also, to offer it in a cloud-based environment, which was 10 years ago, it was a new and a big innovation. Also coming with some features like autocomplete, typo tolerance, and other stuff that was, a big thing back 10 years ago. And what we are noticing now, personally, I noticed I started noticing this maybe 1.5, 2 years ago. We're right now at a tipping point when the third generation of e-commerce search providers start growing and start rolling. And this is mainly because e-commerce changed a lot. We are here all in e-commerce, and you might tell your stories how it changed in your life and work. But basically, right now, merchants have different workflows that they used to have 5 years ago or 4 years ago. Merchants expect way much more from search because, well, we're now in this, I'll call it Chat GPT era, when things are getting generated automatically without you telling how it should work. And basically, search in e-commerce is becoming, or we're working on it becoming more smart than we as merchants or as people could know. And merchants expect search to be relevant out of the box. And when I say relevant, I mean understanding the real intent behind the keyword, because in search you get a keyword, for example, belt. So for us, belt is probably something that we wear on a daily basis. For search, belt might be trousers with belt or dress with belt or something like that, not necessarily that product. So merchants expect that search will understand the intent behind the keyword. Merchants also expect that search will be personalized for every specific user, because all of us are different. We have our own affinities to different brands, attributes, categories, and so on. And yeah, and also merchants expect that they don't need to spend a lot of time on search, because I personally used some or helped my friends use some e-commerce search providers 10 years ago. You basically need a full-time person who could manage and every day create synonyms, create merchandising or whatever rules, or asking developers, hey, can you please do this in my search because our users are complaining. So merchants expect this to be automated because, well, we're 30 years in e-commerce search space. So yeah, I'm very excited that right now we are, I would say, leading this third generation of e-commerce search. And right now, after search node acquisition and find the logic acquisition that Nosto has done, well, we're probably one of the biggest search providers out there already, which is very exciting to me personally too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, thinking about this a little bit more, you're talking about what merchants have come to expect about an on site search tool, and how we're talking about what shoppers have come to expect as well. I think, what I'd like everyone in the room to know is what makes Nosto's search so special and differentiate it, and how we differentiate it from other tools, right? So, what were some of our key priorities when building our search tool, and in your opinion, what sets us apart from other tools in the marketplace?
Yeah, I can talk about that for hours. So if I'm, talking too long, just tell me because that's my topic. No, but in also search, I would say we have four main priorities, four main things that keep me awake sometimes at night. So first of all, we've been talking about the relevance, and relevance, was relevant, but basically, when users come to the website and they search for something, they put some keyword. Our goal at Nosto Search is to actually understand the intent behind the keyword. What do you exactly mean by this keyword? And first, matching the right products. So we have really, really intelligent natural language processing and AI-powered search solution, which is, of course, coming back from Search Node that was acquired by Nosto, and we've built a lot of good stuff in the last in many years. So we're reusing a lot of the components from there and adding it to Nosto Commerce Experience Platform to make every search relevant there. The second pillar that we're focusing on is merchandising, basically allowing our clients, merchants, to tell search which products are important to them as a business. Let's say if an e-commerce business decides to become profitable or increase their profit margins, in also search is very easy. You just go to your merchandising section, select attributes that define profit margin of a product, and just put the slider on. And next time users search, they not only find their products they were expecting to find, but also more profitable products for the merchants. And merchants can use all possible attributes that there are from products, also behavioral data that Nosto is capturing. There's so many attributes that sometimes I stumble upon something new that myself don't know what those attributes are. So that's giving control to merchants, but not overloading them to basically spend a lot of time. They just set some attributes, decide what's their merchandising logic, and that's it. And it then applies to every search query, not just to a few categories or a few searches, but for all the search queries. So it's scalable. Also, of course, there are opportunities to merchandise some specific categories, some specific queries, and so on. The third priority that we have is, of course, personalization. That Nosto is the best, in my opinion, the best in the world for e-commerce. So here in search, for example, if I'm a user that have affinity to products that are discounted, we catch it with Nosto very easily after you're browsing the website. And if you search for something, then we're gonna show some more discounted products just to maximize the probability of a purchase. Or for example, if I have affinity to extra large size of clothes, and I do, this is extra large, and if I browse the website, I want to find products that are available in extra large size because, well, this is what my size is. So we empower this, and it works out of the box, which is cool. So merchants can just select one slider, again, of personalization. Of course, there might be some more rules per segment of different segments. And the fourth priority that we have, we don't want merchants to spend a lot of time on search. I mean, on adjusting their search, teaching their search, and managing their search, because they have business to run. I guess there are a lot of stuff on your plate as well. So we want search to be kind of autonomous under making itself better, self-learning from every search query, for not just from search query, but from all over the website, and adjusting itself. And then our clients can just get back, create a few roles, look at the analytics, look at that. Oh, numbers are going up. All is doing good. Or maybe I'll just create one or two synonyms or something like that, and that's it. But search, that's self-learning. So I just mentioned synonyms. So at Nosto Search, we automatically learn synonyms. We automatically know that shoes and boots, are probably the same stuff in different contexts. So yeah, this is kind of our four priorities, and I'm very excited that we're leading this right now, and I'm part of this as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Antonis. So I'm going to turn it back over to Lexus and Hillary here. So knowing some of the unique features that Nosto Search has to offer, I would love to hear how some of those have helped alleviate the pain points that we've been discussing since we've got up on stage here today. And would love for you both to elaborate a little bit more on your experience with Nosto Search thus far. If you have any exciting results to share with the audience here, even if it's anecdotal, would love to hear more. So Hillary, if you want to kick us off.
I already shared my results. So sorry, got too excited. Yeah, I mean, it's everything that you mentioned we've felt and appreciated. So from fully onboarding the project or the search tool, having our handheld, having it customized, built it the way we wanted from an aesthetic point of view. I mean, this is a small thing, but like filters are super important on our site for our customer, and we've learned that. And you guys built a search product that replicates it. So, and it's different, for every provider. So it's not only the intelligence behind it, but having the experience on the front end be customizable too is fantastic. You guys have been fantastic in taking feedback. Our whole thing is, of course, we want you to find what's most relevant for you, but I also want you to find what I want you to buy. So to your point, maybe that's stuff with high margin, maybe that's new arrivals, maybe it's stuff with high inventory, whatever it might be that we're trying to look through. And there's always business concerns coming down the pipe, excess inventory in this or whatever it might be. We're able to now use it and address it dynamically, which I really like. And all of that can be done with relatively low lift on our team's part, which is fantastic. Not only because you guys have such great client service teams, but also just because of the product and how it's built. It learns and works with you, right? So I think those are kind of the main thing. And previously, again, search is, I say it's 1D, but it was something that, yeah, we'd have to go in and check it and manage it and make a few tweaks and edits. But it was sort of, if you search dresses, you just found dresses. And we'd make sure if there was a typo, again, we'd have to like put in the rules and all those kinds of things. And we never thought of it something that we could be super strategic about. So, and we look at the data also from not only our site, but what's happening in AdWords and other areas and stuff. And the last thing is, because we use the full suite of products, it really is like discoverability on site. So again, so some of the same principles we're using for audiences with search is also what we're using for, wherever we have Nosto integrated, and the site, from content and banners people are seeing, products we're showcasing, merchandising, all that.
Awesome. Thanks, Hillary. And how about you, Lexus? What's your experience, or you and your team's experience been with Nosto's search thus far?
Yeah, I would say I'm probably the biggest fan of the flexibility that Nosto Search kind of provides. I really like that I can be as granular as I would like, or I can be as, set it and forget it as I would like, with more global rules versus, pinning specific products. Also, I very much enjoy that it's dynamic, and I can change the strategy based on what is most important to the business at the time. So, if we're in the middle of the sale, maybe margin isn't as important, or if we want to focus more so on conversion, maybe that's more important. It's very easy for me to go in as a merchant and adjust based on what I know about the business and what I know needs to be adjusted. The analytics are also very helpful. It helps us see where we're maybe not on par with being relevant or personalized. And then, in that same vein, I like the visibility into what is in the secret sauce of the algorithm. I like being able to actually contribute. And, I feel like with maybe other tools, it's all or nothing. It's all very manual, or it's all very algorithm based, and you have no visibility into what is making up that algorithm. It's just an algorithm, and you shouldn't
Massive
ask
trust exercise.
Yes, it is. But with Nosto, as a merchant, we have a lot of flexibility to go in and adjust as we see fit. So that's probably my favorite part.
Okay, great. Antonis, did you have anything else to add on, the back of, some of the experiences that Hillary and Lexus have shared?
Yeah, so I'm very happy to hear that, because when we build that product, we hope that it will work out this way. And yeah, like basically when we build Nosto Search, we know that some merchants just want to set it and forget it and trust it that it does the job, and Nosto Search is really good in this part. But we also know that there are merchants who sometimes, or not sometimes, or actively want to control everything in their search, every element, every specific search, and so on, which is also Nosto Search is built for that. And finally, when we build the product, we really want clients to go live fast. We don't want them to work for many months and then hope that the implementation will be successful. Within a few weeks, Nosto Search is ready. So this is also, when we build the product, we automate a lot of things. We prepare a lot of things to help either if a client themselves or their agency is implementing it, or our front end service team is implementing, that it's easy, and time to value is also fast, because it's important as well.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So now I'd like to turn it over to the audience. If anyone has a question for any of our panelists up here, if you would like to know even more about Lexus and Hillary's experience with Nosto's search, or just capabilities of the tool in general, please raise your hand. We'll run a mic over to you. Don't be shy. Anyone? No? Okay, well, I have a question. So, what would you say would be your most favorite feature specifically about Nosto's search? On the education side of things, I have a lot of conversations with merchants, and I know, Hillary, you mentioned, you have a lean but mighty team. What's your experience been like on the amount of time, in comparison to tools that maybe you've used in your past, even, before ALC, in comparison to what you're seeing like with Nosto? Like, is it much easier, quicker to make adjustments on the fly? I would love to hear more about the time saving aspect of
Well, it's
things.
very collaborative. And again, I can't say enough about your guys' client service team. I mean, again, we have biweekly calls, we go through everything, but it really is a discussion of like, okay, what are business priorities? What are learnings? What are things that we could test? I mean, everything you do doesn't work. I mean, that's the nature of a business, right? So we might put together a test, and part of the learning is, oh, okay, I thought what I wanted to showcase to customers or have them find or, tweak was actually not as helpful as I thought it would be. So let's lean back into, a conversion rate more or something, or let's try it, right? And then with that, understanding when we want to pull those levers. So I think, again, there's times in the business, like a sale period, where I'm not messing around. All I want to do is drive that money and really quickly and bring it home. But then we launch a new collection and it's full price, and I'm going to take a longer path to purchase. So I am going to take a lower conversion rate for a period of time if I see it's driving more full price product over a period of time. So again, working with you guys to have that collaborative element, and I keep saying it, but using it as a strategic tool, which we haven't had at all with search before. So yeah, and my people on my team, I know, really appreciate being able to partner and work and feel like it's another player in our mix of external partners and agencies we work with. It doesn't feel just sort of like very functional or anything like that. It feels as service personal.
And we're the most fun.
That too. Parties every time on the calls. Yeah.
How about you, Lexus? Like, would love to hear from like a time saving perspective, because again, I heard when I was a CSM, I heard this a lot. For me personally, like as I'm putting together enablement materials and on demand courses to show how to use Nosto, seeing that kind of that consistency there, I think you may not find in other tools. But how about you and your team?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely saved us some time. But the interesting thing is that it's also allowed us to be more strategic and more efficient with the time that we're dedicating to search. And I think that all boils down to the personalization feature. And the benefit of having everything in one place. So I use Nosto for category merchandising as well. So I can kind of use my experience and the learnings from site search to inform my strategy with category merchandising, and also vice versa. So there's a huge benefit there. And I think that saves us time, is just being able to use and leverage both of those modules, of those features, to inform businesses in the other side of the businesses. I think the more time that I'm spending on site search, the more strategic I'm getting. And I've definitely just saved time in general, just net, but it's been spent more efficiently, which has been great.
For sure. And, thinking about it, you're talking about, leveraging those analytics to make more informed decisions across the site. So, especially around personalization, when it comes to analytics around search, is there anything that you found that's new, unique, or, helps you easily identify areas for improvement? Would love to hear some feedback just like on the analytics aspect in general as well.
Yeah, so I really look at conversion rate by keyword. To me, that's the best way of telling if you're relevant by specific category or specific groups of keywords. So that's pretty fundamental for understanding if there's something that you can be more strategic about. So if we have a lower conversion, not every category is going to be the same. So a $40 belt is not going to sell at the same conversion rate as a $250 suit. So I try to look at it with that lens. But if I'm comparing it to the other categories, or the category site-wide, and the search experience seems to have a low conversion rate, that's kind of a cue for me to go in and see, like, should I be creating synonyms? Should I be making it more personalized? Is there an opportunity to segment more? And then can I apply that to other areas of the site?
Okay, thank you. Hillary, do you have anything to kind of add there from an analytics perspective?
Similar vein, it's more just, again, getting benchmarks and being able to have visibility into that, which we haven't had before, because then you can use it. So however you want to, evolve your strategy or react to it, but being able to take that information and being able to, again, be not one-dimensional with it and react to it. Also sharing this information with our partners internally. So cross-functional teams is really helpful. Helping them get more data and learning and senior leadership, I find all that's really helpful. And it's, again, not been something we've been really able to report or talk to that specifically before.
Right, for sure. Any questions from the audience now? Yes, over in the green. If somebody doesn't mind running a mic over, or you can come up here, you can come to me.
I've heard a few comments about segmentation, and I'm curious to learn more about what the capabilities are to build segments, to reach segments from the tool, and what that might look like, if that's in play anywhere or on paper anywhere.
Sure. I think that can be answered both by Antonas, if you want to dive in, or maybe Hillary or Lexus, if you want to talk about kind of the strategy and what you've done with segmentation. Antonas, do you want to chime in?
Yeah. Is the question about how do you build segments, or how do you use segments?
How I guess
factors that merchants are using segments within search, or what Nosto search is capable of doing with segments?
Yeah. All right. So, firstly, there are plenty of segments that Nosto as a platform can, let's say, catch from the user's behavior, from behavior and so on. Merchants can also create their own segments based on the data that they see, and then those segments, how they're used in search, is basically to define the intent. So, if, for example, a segment is of a person who has affinity to extra large size of clothing, for example, so merchant can just simply create a rule that for this segment of users, promote products with extra large size availability. This could be one example. Or let's say if there are users who, let's say, are new visitors, they've never been in a site before, and merchants know that they have a bit different expectations compared to the other websites. For example, buying a bit more expensive products, they can promote more expensive products. Or I just remembered many merchants use the segment of users who tend to buy more expensive products. There is just the segment of, not sure how it's called, like they buy more expensive stuff. So in search, we just promote those products that are more expensive and take advantage of users having this intent that they want to buy more expensive stuff, and it's more relevant to them at the end of the day.
And those can be built within the UI, and that is
Yeah.
friendly. That process is friendly.
It's very friendly. I mean, it doesn't require any development, or it's not technical at all. It's very playful. I love to play with it myself, and see how it works. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Of course. Did either of you have anything to add how you are currently, or segmentation strategy, especially when it comes to search? I think Antonis brought up a good point kind of around like our full price shopper, or maybe like an average order value of over X amount versus like our discounted shopper that actually comes out of the box, our full price shoppers versus discounted shoppers from a segmentation perspective. So that segment can be created in like a couple clicks of a button with no thought. But from a strategy perspective, would love to hear from both of you how, the approach you're taking when it comes to search and segmentation, and maybe even like a little bit around category merchandising as well, since they kind of blend both together. Does that strategy differ? Is it the same?
Yeah, sure. So some of the big segments that Perry Ellis uses for our global rules. So this is for any search term that they're typing in. It's sort of like a catch-all. It's very broad for these rules. I like to segment by discount affinity. So there is a customer that's more of a bargain hunter, and they want to see, really markdowns and really high discount rates. But for those customers, they need to be treated a little bit more uniquely because a lot of those items are really sold down. So for that customer that's searching and has a buying affinity for discount product, I like to incorporate inventory into that rule, just so they know that, and that makes it more relevant too. So items that have very high inventory but are also very much marked down will reach the top of those search terms. But then I also have a very loyal customer that just wants new arrivals. He doesn't care if it's discounted or not. He'll just buy a new arrival because he loves the brand that much. And that's a very small segment. But for that customer, I like to make sure that new arrivals, regardless of price, are up at the top for all search terms. And then you can get more granular and do more keyword focused. So Perry Ellis, a lot of people kind of know us as the suit brand or the workwear brand, but there is a lot of customers that they buy polos from Perry Ellis, and they may buy from our wholesale partners where they have a little bit more of a casual assortment. So there's been some splintering with our main customer segments. There's a dress wear, tried and true. He's shopping for a wedding. And then there's a customer that's more shopping for the weekends. So a customer that types in shirt, if he's a dress wear affinity, then we should probably show him dress shirts. But if he is a casual customer and is looking for a casual shirt to wear out to dinner, we need to show him more casual shirts, and he wouldn't necessarily type in casual shirts. So it's just a strategic way that we're able to make it a little bit more relevant based on customer affinities. So.
Okay, great. Hillary, how about for you? Anything to add in your experience there, or strategies that you're taking that might differ from what Lexus?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what I was mentioning before, the dresses example, we're primarily a dress business, or known a lot as dresses. So we look at our first-time customer and we know what they tend to buy. We look at our returning customer segment. We know what they may be interested in buying. And we help show different things, right? We also look at what media is happening in market, what else we're doing at the moment, because what ads are at play might also impact what people are searching for. Again, what celebrity or whoever, placements we have are also, things to consider because it's going to, again, impact search. For us, we're always looking at a little bit of a promo detox. So we don't treat our sale customer differently, even though we could, except for sale periods, purely because we want to try to convert them. So we try to look at how we can bring them up. So they've come in through sale, take them to full price. And again, knowing that we may be taking a little bit of hit at times, that we could be driving a slightly higher conversion. But for us, that's something we want to see if that works out in the longer term. So, we're making it up in the conversion elsewhere. And then during, periods of sale, again, where media is in market and sale, then we will do things with, tweaking the algorithm and the relevancy of the products people are going to find, and putting sale pretty much everywhere. Because again, it's what's messaged on the site. So yeah. And then we look at it with merchandising too, right? We have different algorithms on some of our category merchandising pages from like dresses or tops, because dresses or new arrivals get such a heavy search volume. Not search volume, traffic volume, that the people on those pages are responding differently to the settings that we have for merchandising than on a page that gets less views or has less product being added to it with new arrivals or a drop, like a tops or something like that. So that was an interesting learning that we've had to tweak. Those merchandising can't be treated the same by category necessarily for us. We've had to drill down into the most popular categories and others to tweak it slightly. And that's been really helpful as well, to be able to have those tools to lever.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for the question, by the way. Do we have any more? Oh, yes, Jamie.
Yeah. So as Jim mentioned at the top of the call, Nosto has felt like search was like one of the last kind of final pieces of us to conquer to really own personalization across the website. It sounds like you use a lot of the Nosto tools already. So do you also kind of feel like search was the last area of opportunity for that? And off of that, it sounds, we've discussed how that's helped your specific teams in general, leaning into that personalization. But when it comes to outside of the e-commerce team and maybe items like customer service or strategic inventory planning, how has leaning into personalization impacted there?
Well, I can definitely touch on, so actually a funny story. When we first started on Perry Ellis looking for a search tool, we were just evaluating our search experience and thought there was room for improvement. I was meeting with our SVP and I was describing kind of like a laundry list of things that I wanted in a search tool. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's such a shame. I really want Nosto, but for search. So yes, I do feel like it was kind of like the missing element. And now it's very cohesive. And I can use, again, like I said before, both sides of the business, whether it's category merchandising or search merchandising, to inform the other side of the business to be more strategic. So yes, I definitely think that Nosto is helping us with our personalization efforts across the site. So.
I remember when we first met back in summer last year. Ulexis, after I pitched you the idea of Nosto Search, because we were still building it. No, it was even before the summer. You said, "Oh, cool! So it's like Nosto but for search." So now I remember that. Yeah.
Awesome. Hillary, did you have anything to add to Jamie's question?
No, I mean, not really. We haven't said, we haven't gotten to the point where we're using the data to, I think you said, for inventory planning or anything like that, or any other feedback, not to that level yet, because there's so many other data points that go into that, especially for a business of our size with wholesale complexities and things like that. But it is really helpful in, like I mentioned, being able to have the analytics now to benchmark, to start to feedback, to create a fuller picture of what's happening, right? Because we take in, when we do internal meetings and all that, like a lot of data points that we're feeding back in terms of what the customer's doing, what's happening. Maybe they've evolved, maybe they've changed, what their behaviors might be, all that type of stuff. So it's just, again, good to have the data points there to add to our story and our picture.
Great. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Oh, I see multiple hands. Let's go in the back. I can see your bracelet. I don't know if we have a mic for him since he's a little far away. Perfect. I love that.
What do you coach?
Soccer. My name's Jonathan Meyer. So I want to get a little more granular at the agency. For us, it's really about that impact on those data points, multiple KPIs that you're looking for to be in using the solution? And then the second part would be anything interesting that you were surprised by in the data that came from the solution as well. So how long it took before you saw that immediate impact from your KPIs, and then was there anything interesting that came out that you were surprised by?
I think for us, it's more about establishing them because we didn't have, and I mean, you're looking in GA versus looking in platform for metrics. Like it's not apples to apples, right? So it's more about us. Okay, now that we have you an insight into what this search term is doing, how we've changed the algorithm, how it's more about building out that. And understanding where we want to bench ourselves now. We've only launched since basically late November, so it's still pretty new. And not to give too much detail about our brand, but we launched after our last new arrivals drop. So we've just launched a season spring. So for us, it's a lot of learnings again, and understanding what's happened to the customer during a period where we haven't had new product on the site. We have had a period of sale. Now we've had new arrivals, seeing what pops up, what's different, how that reacts. Yeah. So we're establishing our KPIs in short. But again, it goes to having the dashboard, having that to be able to look at. Yeah, it's helpful.
We're pretty much in the same boat on the Perry Ellis end. Our data points that we have available, they wouldn't be apples to apples, but we are running an A/B test, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be strong performance on the Nosto end, just mostly because we didn't have personalization before, and there was very little strategy on our end that was going into search prior with our old search tool. So it should be a win for us.
Well, and that's something just in terms of making the decision to use it. It wasn't really, the data didn't necessarily factor in a sense. It wasn't like, let's do a 3-month test and see where the data lies, because ultimately, like I said at the beginning, Google surfaces more relevant products. I believe that we want to do that for our customer. How any failings for us in like a test may have to do more with how I've surfaced the product in the settings and the algorithm. And I believe is more incumbent on us to continue to test and iterate to make sure we're getting that right, versus conceptually, do I believe in this as something to do? Yes, I do. I think search needs to be relevant to the customer. The rest is up to us to figure out what that means.
I might add just one thing. We have a very interesting case studies coming soon with a bunch of other search clients as well. So your question gonna be answered there for sure. We have some exciting brands who increase their conversion rates, drop their search exit rates by huge numbers. So all there is gonna be there, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I saw a few more hands there in the back. We'll take 1 or 2 more questions. Yes, please.
Yeah, it works. Thank you. So I have a question for both sets. So first for Lexis and Hillary, have you considered or have you used, I know you spoke a little bit about this, the search functionality to incentivize repeat purchases, like as a strategy of like, hey, you came to my store, you bought something before. I know you spoke a little bit about keyword conversion. I'm going to want to make you buy multiple more items or come back to my store at a later point using that data point I captured using search. And then just a question for the Nosto team. I know you guys primarily because of your recommendation engine. So I was wondering, you spoke a little bit about upselling by organizing more expensive items first. I was wondering whether you're using compounded like search history as well. So somebody comes into a store, they buy a couch, for instance, or a dress in this instance. And then the next time they're looking for something different, would you be able to run a recommendation on the side of like, hey, last time you searched for this, why don't you consider like visiting again? Like we've dropped a new collection here. Or like, I'm just trying to think of like what the user experience would feel like if I'm like in the store again, for instance, I'm visiting ALC and I'm buying a dress, for instance, not me, but for someone else, I guess. And I'm like looking for shoes to match. And then the next time I see, recommendations for the same type of dress that I searched for prior, recommended as well. And I'm wondering whether you would see like more repeat purchases that way, and just like increasing your like customer lifetime value.
So specific to that for us, that's where we use the repeat segment and lean into some of the data we have. So customers that come in first, let's say they buy a dress, one of our core dress styles, right? We know their second purchase is most likely going to be, mean, it depends on the season, whatever, but moving into a tops or a set, right? So it is then taking some of those insights, or maybe a more fashion forward piece. So if they're searching for dresses again or whatever, it might be that repeat segment gets maybe a little bit more relevance on like the new arrivals and the new collection versus maybe our core collection, which a customer who's a first time customer would see. So, maybe inventory doesn't matter because, for example, on the core, the inventory could be crazy off the charts because we stock it and it never goes on sale, right? So I don't care about that so much. So yeah, we definitely do react to that to drive it. But I think what you're also touching on is where we use Nosto otherwise through recommendations and category recommendations, or sorry, product recommendations. And we help use it at like your checkout, your mini cart, and we use it on the PDP pages, things you might also like. And we're always playing with that and tweaking that again, depending if you're first or second time, testing what we want to push, right? Do we want to push a set here or the pants or the jacket or whatever it would be to go with it? Or do we want to use it based on what you have browsed? Can we showcase both? What should the order of that be? Should there be content before if you're a first time customer because we need to romance you more? Should there be product if you're a second time customer because you don't need the romance, so yeah, we're always testing all of those things cohesively. We'll also integrate in terms of from a content experience on the site, like you haven't used your welcome code, but you are continuing to shop the site, we'll make sure you see your welcome code. We might offer you, a gated sale experience to a sale. So you've got your win back code or something like that. So how else can we make sure you're seeing you haven't been with us for a while. Here's 15% off your next purchase. Where can that code be shown across products while you're browsing again and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a very good question about how recommendations and search interact between each other. So both search makes recommendations more relevant and recommendations make search more relevant. How? Nosto tracks what users search and what they click, buy, add to the cart after the search, and we know the keyword, which is very important. Let's say users actually search is the only way where users actually type what they expect from the website. In all other cases, they just browse, click, add somewhere, and then we make predictions what they wanted to do. So this helps recommendations become more relevant either before the purchase, after purchase, or during the next session. But also when users search, recommendations help us in certain parts. Just remember one example at one of our clients. User was searching for a city bike, and they were not selling city bicycles. They were selling mountain bicycles, gravel bicycles, road ones, but not city one. And in search, at that point, we didn't find the exact city bike. But then the recommendations block came in and said, hey, users who search for city bike, they also buy these products. And there were products that are actually being purchased with this kind of keyword or overall with this intent, like mountain bikes, gravel, city bikes, and others. So instead of showing, sorry, we don't have anything we don't sell city bikes, we say, hey, these are pretty much what you can drive in a city, ride in a city.
Did you have anything to add, Lexus?
That was pretty thorough on there.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty aligned with Hillary on the whole repeat customer element. Although I don't have a repeat customer segment, I have more category affinity because I figure if a customer has an affinity towards dress wear and they come back to the site and they search for something like a more broad key term, if we serve them up more dress wear, the categories they're already have an affinity towards, they're going to be more likely to purchase. So really personalization is probably how I address getting them to keep buying more and just making it relevant to them and their personal customer behavior.
Okay, great. Guys, is there anything you want to add to that question?
I think that's a really good point because dead ends come up a lot in the research as well when we look at what turns shoppers off. And the majority of brands aren't able to serve alternate recommended products when zero results are found. So I think going to Antonis' point earlier, it's a super relevant point and great question.
Okay, wonderful. Let's take one more question from the audience. I think I saw one more hand back there at some point. Yes, right here, front row.
Local here in New York. So everything that we've heard so far talks about brands that have not been using search and then went to Nosto. We've been using brands like SLI, Faceted Search, Instant Search Plus, Fast Simon, and a couple of others in the mix. We've had very mixed results with those brands for different reasons. Some implementations took more than 3 months. Other areas just really were cumbersome in the way that they connected to platforms. Do you guys see the product as a standalone up against all the other segments that are in the market to compete with? A little bit upriver, downriver, you can sort of address that in which way you want. Or do you see it as more of like a Yotpo play where they're integrating subscriptions, going after recharge business, and really creating this sort of like family where you have to buy into a lot of the Nosto product to get the best experience and value from it? Because we have merchants that we talk to, from CPG to fashion to, they have all the same problems that we have. They're trying to make this work for their team internally, but they're also trying to make it work for the customer, the CFO. And AI has come up a lot in conversations, but this is not new. It's been around for about 10 years. SLI has been doing it for quite some time, but their stock price has been tanking because they didn't really build other products on top of that. So people didn't want to really use just one thing for search and then another thing for something else. So just from a strategic standpoint, looking at a couple of years ahead, do you guys see yourselves going up against this categorically for the search product, or do you really see it as kind of like Nosto creates this experience for brands, for agencies, for partners, and now this is just another layer to that experience?
I think let's break that question down into two parts, just because I definitely want to hear from Hillary and Lexus. You mentioned implementation from an implementation standpoint. Would love to hear, feedback, and even maybe not even speaking to you. Obviously, you implemented Nosto on the site, maybe in past experiences, even if it wasn't with your brand, kind of in comparison to Antonis spoke about, one of the nice aspects of Nosto Search is that it's relevant out of the box. It's easy to implement, in comparison to potentially some other tools out there. So would love to get your perspective. And then from there, let's turn it over to Antonis and Guy to address the second part of your question, if that works. Okay, great, ladies.
Well, implementation was very easy on my part. I'm not sure if I was giving you too much work.
Perelis was one of the first clients we've implemented in summer, so it wasn't easy
for us. I don't know about them.
I sent like a doc that was maybe like 3 pages long of like all the things that I wanted. So I hope it wasn't too much, but it was very easy for me. And it was very easy to use right off the bat too, because we had been using Nosto before. And I will say there are perks to having everything in one place. So whereas with another tool, I might have to marry back the experience just to make it very cohesive for all of our customers. Here, all of our data was kind of already feeding over to Nosto. So it was very easy to kind of set up those rules and mirror what we were doing in category merchandising.
Great. Thanks, Lexus. And how about you, Hillary?
Super easy to implement. But we were using a search tool before. We weren't not using anything. So sorry if I didn't make that clear. But we were at a point, and the reason this conversation came up is because we weren't happy with it. And, as you may have picked up from what I'm saying, we're a fashion brand, we have a point of view, all that kind of stuff. So data is a great way, or any kind of predictive analytics at predicting future behavior, past behavior, right? But that doesn't always account for trends in the market or where things are going to happen that aren't happening on your site that you can't predict for, right? So we always have to balance what we're seeing and the signals we're getting with where we want to drive things. And we weren't finding a search tool that let us have that flexibility. And with this, we really do. And we've kind of talked about that, right? Being able to kind of push products I want on certain segments or whatever, or margins or whatever business need I can react to. I have that flexibility. Since we weren't happy with who we were using before, which I won't name because it's like naming an ex, we will just say that, having this suite, of course, there's learnings and benefits, because I can know where the person's going to go next from it, and then they're going to see more products. And I know the same logic is working in tandem, right? But I think within site discoverability, it all makes sense for me to have that housed in the same ecosystem.
Okay, great. Yeah, and to address the second part of your question, and thank you again.
I can share some thoughts. That's a very good question. Guy and Jim probably can add something more to that. We see, okay, I'm not sure if I can say we see, but I see Nosto now as a search company as well. No, so we started as a recommendation engine, build best recommendations out there in the market. Other great products, merchandising, bundles, and so on. And now we are also a search company. Why? It's not just an add-on to the platform which can do search. It's a complete offering, complete solution, including bunch of features, bunch of capabilities, from simple spell checks, facets, to something AI advanced and so on. Because I believe that because first, we know our clients well, we have all the data capturing their building segments and having this good core solution. Search is a no-brainer that we can now serve good search results. And looking when I look from technology companies perspective, let's take Microsoft. They started from just operational system back in days ago, and then they started adding in more and more products. Like they added that Office suite, which is now probably one of the best breed in the market, even though I don't like it myself that much right now. But from business perspective, that's a they created a market leader. So I believe Nosto going further will, we already outgrown being just recommendations company. We're now a complete commerce experience platform and one of the, or with the acquisition's largest search provider. So I really believe and hope and work that Nosto becomes the main brand in e-commerce search space.
Yeah, Guy, did you have anything to add to that point?
Well, I think just at a very high level, we're a single platform to deliver relevant and authentic online experiences for brands. And, the difference is that traditionally all that data from a point search solution is just kept in that point solution. We can just unleash that across the entire on-site experience. All that really high intent data you can put to work elsewhere and vice versa, like I said earlier. So I think, at a very high level, one single platform for brands to deliver compelling and memorable online experiences.
Everything is growing so fast, right? There's every platform, every partner program, every new implementation. It's just impossible to keep up with everything. And really, teams and brands, they struggle because then they can't get things approved with the CFO. And then you got to have 5 different SLAs. And, by the end of it, then you're sort of doing this hodgepodge stuff and the customer feels the impact. Now you've delayed the product release by a couple of quarters, and now they don't get search, and now it doesn't integrate with this. People are tired and frustrated. So we're just seeing this kind of bundle approach, even for our agency, to lower costs. If we lower costs, we can pass it on to our clients. We can get them better deals. We can innovate faster. There's less mistakes. People are happier. So we're seeing the model work really well when we pair things together. So even just that feedback coming from our team internally when they work with different clients. So to us, we want one place to do all this stuff.
Excellent. Thank you. Great.
Awesome. So I think we're going to wrap up questions today. Obviously, there's going to be time after everyone who's with Nosto has Nosto on their name tag. So if you have additional questions, please flag them down, and we will certainly get back to you. I appreciate everyone in the audience for volunteering themselves and participating in our panel discussion. And let's give one final round of applause for our panelists up here today. A little louder, guys. We practiced this earlier. All right. Thank you. And now it's time to wrap up today's discussion. So before we do so, I'd like to invite our CEO, Jim, back to the stage for closing remarks. Another round of applause for Jim.
I won't spend too much more of your time. I just want to, first of all, personally thank the panel so much. Thank you for traveling from all over the world to be here today. We've really enjoyed sharing your learnings and your insights. It's been great. I also want to thank everyone here who's taken time out of their day to show up and also listen to the panel and to hear what we've been working on and we're so excited about. I want to thank everyone on the live stream. Obviously, we're live streaming this globally, so people all over the world are also tuning in. So thank you also for doing that. And the team at Nosto who've put all of this together. If you don't know, we're doing this in multiple locations in the world. We're doing this live stream, so it's a big operation. So thank you also to the team. I just want to highlight one thing that we really want to make sure that it comes across clearly. That's part of our ethos with building the commerce experience platform. It's really about the notion of harnessing data from everywhere that you can to leverage that data to create and build experiences anywhere. And that's really what we're trying to enable you as a merchant, you as an agency, as a tech partner. We're trying to enable that type of experience building for visitors, users, and shoppers. And I think with those words, I want to just thank you again, and we're going to end the day.
And just to let everyone know, please feel free to mingle. The event goes until 2 p.m. There is more food outside here. The bar is open. Take your time, enjoy the views, enjoy the sunshine. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. And again, we appreciate all of you taking time out of your day to join us. Thanks again.